Tonight, concerns two major road contracts won't be completed by locals, and regional areas see a 40% increase in tourist numbers.
With the latest from around the region, your nightly news with Louise Hedger begins now.
Good evening. A tendering process for two major road contracts in the Spencer Gulf has come under fire, with concerns large interstate companies will be favoured. The Civil Contractors Federation is calling on the state government to prioritise local contractors. Garth Burley has the story.
They've been labelled as two of the most important projects for regional South Australia, but there are now questions around the contracts for the duplication of Port Augusta's Joybaloo Bridge and Port Wakefield Road. The Civil Contractors Federation claims the state government will bundle the contracts for the two projects together and fears the local sector could be forgotten.
This obviously is very attractive to very big contractors, usually from interstate or overseas.
The industry lobby says both projects require different areas of expertise.
There's no engineering synergy between a bridge project and a road project 200 kilometres away.
But the State Transport Minister is reassuring businesses that the bundling process will prioritise South Australians.
We're mandating that local Tier 2 companies, both constructors as well as the professional service firms, are involved in this process.
The federal government spruiking the projects as a big opportunity for the Spencer Gulf.
I would like to see as many businesses in Port Augusta and the Upper Spencer Gulf get a bite of the cherry.
The government is hoping to secure the contracts as soon as possible, with the two projects scheduled to begin construction in 2020.
More than 100 geologists are converging on Broken Hill this week for the Uncover Curnamona conference. The event is focusing on the future of mining in the Far West region and the different minerals which can be found there.
Talking rocks in the longest continually mined city in Australia.
What we're trying to do is really lift the cover off the rocks of Curnamona to see the good bits and try and find the next big deposits.
Named after the Curnamona province spanning from O'Leary in South Australia to the east of Broken Hill, the conference brings together geologists to talk about the region and what's under the surface.
This is still an emerging site where people are still excited about the potential and understanding the rock formation and what it could mean potentially for the future growth.
Dr Greenfield says it's not just about the lead, silver and zinc the land is known for. A deposit of high-in-demand cobalt is just out at Thackaringa, and also large high-grade iron ore is all over the region and in South Australia.
We're always standing on the shoulders of giants and improving the science, so it's important that we bring everyone together and find out what the latest is that's going on.
The group will be visiting drill sites in the Mundi area tomorrow.
Even though it's hard, and even though people say you can't have a crystal ball, you do know that when you talk to these scientists that they're excited about the area and the land and there's potential there.
Patrick Ryankey, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Police have this week arrested a 24-year-old man from the east coast of the Eyre Peninsula, charging him with communicating with a child and possessing child exploitation material. Police allege the offences occurred earlier this month. The man has been granted bail and is due to appear in the Whyalla Magistrates Court in September. The Far West Local Health District is urging people to get vaccinated to protect themselves against Q fever. The fever is a bacterial infection caused by inhaling dust particles which have been contaminated by infected animal secretions. The bacteria is spread from mainly cattle, sheep and goats, but health professionals warn you don't have to be in contact with them to be at risk. More details about Q fever can be found on the New South Wales Health website. Tourism numbers in the Flinders Ranges and the Outback have spiked by more than 40% over the last 5 years. Officials are crediting the rise to improvements in marketing and connectivity.
Large natural wonders, dusty open spaces and a chance to escape from our digital worlds. Tourism officials say it's these factors which have made the state's outback destinations such hot property.
People sort of come here to disconnect, unwind, spend time with family and friends.
New figures by the South Australian Tourism Commission showing an increase across all aspects of the region's tourism in the last 5 years. The total number of visitors climbing over 730,000, while total expenditure is now 43% higher, reeling in a whopping $454 million.
We're hoping that people will always, find interest in our region and enjoy coming here and spending time here.
Improvements to connectivity in remote areas, a factor which tourism officials say has helped attract new holidayers.
A lot of people are travelling and want to keep in touch with family and friends, and there's also a safety issue as well.
Surrounding regions also capitalising on renewed public interest in Uluru and the flooding of Lake Eyre.
The last 3 months have been extremely busy. Port Augusta's been booked out on many occasions with accommodation.
Casting one eye to the future, the RDA says Outback roads need to be sealed in a bid to grow visitor numbers even further.
Certainly the Strzelecki track plays a big role in that inflow of tourism right through Queensland and New South Wales, and that's certainly one that we will continue to lobby for.
Garth Burley, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Still to come tonight, equipment upgrades to see Port Pirie become a rescue hub and 6 entrants in the race to be crowned the Tunerama Ambassador. Welcome back. The Metropolitan Fire Service is planning to turn Port Pirie into a technical rescue hub for the Spencer Gulf region. The station recently upgrading its training tower and investing in a new logistics container.
Port Pirie's fire station is enjoying some new toys, with the facility welcoming 2 additions to its firefighting arsenal. It's part of a plan to make the York and Mid-North region operate more independently.
We are hoping that Port Pirie becomes a full-time technical rescue hub.
A new logistical container hoping to dramatically cut down the station's response time. In the past, fire crews would have to wait up to 2 to 3 hours to get heavy equipment brought in from Adelaide.
Utilising this pod here, we can be within an hour from Port Pirie fairly quickly, and we can transport it all the way down to Port Lincoln.
The emergency pod, the brainchild of Shane Heffernan, building the prototype from scratch over a 9-month period. While yet to be tested in the field, its capabilities have sparked the interest of Port Lincoln Station, who are eyeing off getting their own.
It's one of those things that, whilst you hope it gets used, we wish it never is.
The station's training tower also receiving a new facelift, allowing local fireys to run emergency simulations in their own backyard.
It's now used for high-angle rescue, vertical rescue and diagonal rescue.
Dominic Beaton, 7 Spencer Golf News.
The entries are in and now the tight race is underway for just who will be crowned the next Tunerama Ambassador. 6 entrants are competing for the coveted title, including the first special needs entrants to throw their hat in the ring.
It's the silver crown everyone's fighting for. 6 entrants racing to become the next Tunerama Ambassador, with entries closing today.
Running as an entrant does involve a lot of work, a lot of fundraising, a lot of being out in the public, putting yourself out there.
The entrants fundraising for a chosen charity, with some picking the Royal Flying Doctor Service and Red Cross.
Really trying to make the most of it for your personal growth, but also to give back to the community and help that charity that helps so many people that are in need.
The Tunerama Quest welcoming its first special needs entrant, Winnie Marden raising money for disability organisation Cara as her chosen charity.
You wanted to be a representative?
Yes, with my car.
The Quest also welcoming Venetia Ellis, who's recently returned to Port Lincoln. She'll be raising money for the local RSL, with a charity bands night already planned to help kickstart her fundraising efforts.
I just feel that our veterans deserve our love and support. Our local RSL here, with the new developments that are happening, I would like to support that and help raise funds.
Damien Burner says he's excited by the race ahead, but a bit saddened as he passes the torch on to the next ambassador.
It'll be interesting to see who it is that takes the reign on from me, and I hope to be able to support them in every way possible.
An official sashing session will be held next weekend. Nathan Rector, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Shop owners in Port Pirie may not be donning the lycra, but they are gearing up to take a community bike ride through town. The event, called Bikes for Businesses, is hoping to boost the local retail sector and will be held this Saturday.
Steering business in the right direction. Business Port Pirie is riding in tandem with local shop owners to help boost the local economy.
We're trying to help their businesses become a little bit more familiar along the boardwalk.
Bikes for Business, a creative way of mustering tired traffic to the town's storefronts. The community ride's set to travel through the central business district, making pit stops at a number of shops along the 8-kilometre ride.
Foot traffic in Port Pirie is not that great, so it's really difficult for businesses to get people to come in and have a look at their shops.
The town's retail sector has been hit by some hard times in recent years, with a number of stores closing up. The weekend event hoping to add a bit of cheer and bring the working community closer. Business Port Pirie focusing on recruiting new members and helping build the Port Pirie brand.
What we need to do is save our shops, save our local community, save our town. So it's not just about saving dollars in Adelaide, just by coming and shopping locally.
We are the life and soul of Port Pirie. You know, we employ people, we sponsor people, and we want everyone to look out for each other.
The event will be rolling out on Wandera Road on Saturday morning, August 3rd. Dominic Beaton, 7 Spencer Golf News.
The Broken Hill Basketball Association says it's excited to soon be upgrading the local stadium. The 3-court facility has been in urgent need of a revamp, with work to start within the next month.
A funding boost received as a cool swish.
Luckily, we got put through on the second stage, so we're now going to receive $175,000.
The funding is from Sport Australia and its community infrastructure grants. It will be used for 3 things, the first being a complete overhaul of court lighting.
To compare, it would be Port Augusta. They've got a great brand new facility and their lighting is just the best there is, and we're hoping once we get our new lighting we come up to that sort of standard.
Jared says the first thing he'd like to see done before summer is the new air conditioning. The foyer will finally receive some cool air, while existing units in the courts will be replaced.
We have had days in the last few years where it reaches high 40s and the air conditioning doesn't cut it, so we still can't play them days, and hopefully that there will solve all our problems and we'll be able to play all year round.
The final stage of the upgrades will be the installation of solar panels.
The idea eventually is to reduce our electricity cost. Obviously, being a non-for-profit organisation, we need to come up with money, obviously, to pay our bills.
Jared says once all the upgrades are complete, Broken Hill could put its name down to host future basketball carnivals, extending an invite to Spencer golf teams to check out the revamped stadium.
We support Port Augusta, Whyalla, Port Pirie, so we would like to get them to come back to support us, and sort of we don't give them any reason to say no once we've got a facility that's, you know, got everything that you can ask for.
Patrick Ryankey, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. A football legend set to return to play in Port Pirie, and Britt will have the weather details. Welcome back. Moonee Football Club has a new secret weapon joining its ranks. Former All-Australian and Brownlow medalist Gavin Wanganeen will be lacing up the boots once more, competing in the Yorke Peninsula's Football League. The 46-year-old is set to play his first match on the 4th of August against Wallaroo Football Club at Moonee Oval. Port Lincoln's West Coast Swimming Club has returned from competing in Adelaide after taking part in the State Swimming Championship. The athletes all achieving personal bests, with some even breaking state records.
They're the athletes winning gold for Port Lincoln. Over a dozen swimmers travelling to Adelaide to compete in the Short Course Championship.
They did really well, a couple of medals, a few finals, and Jade Caverly broke her old state records, which was nice.
The Port Lincoln team coming 14th out of 39. The young competitors head-to-head against some stiff competition. Incredibly, all the athletes came away beating their personal bests.
Everyone did a PB, which was great. Some dropping by 6, 7, even 10 seconds in some races, so it was a big drop from their old ones.
I got PBs across the board, so I'm pretty happy with that.
The team competing in a range of events during the week-long championship. Grant Mueller says he couldn't be prouder of the team after taking over as the club's coach in January.
Last week was reminding me why I got into the sport, just getting that feeling, the goosebumps when the kids race. Not so much myself anymore, but more them.
he gives up most of his time during the week to coach us, so really grateful.
Coach Mueller says he wants to bring a bigger team next year, hoping to discover the next Olympic champion.
Trying to get like maybe 20 kids going, so a bigger vibe, bigger group, so some of the other city clubs might feel a little bit intimidated by us.
It was just a chance to see where you stand and have fun and some competition.
Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Now for this week's Fuel Watch, here's Patrick Reinke.
Well, it would be wise to shop around for petrol this week. Some regional centres are starting to see their prices increase. Looking at unleaded figures first, and Port Lincoln has actually seen a big drop in its average. A 4-cent drop has the town averaging around $1.45. Whyalla is the only one on the board to break even. It's still the cheapest at $1.39. Port Augusta is still at $1.44. Kadina joins them after going up by 2 cents. Port Pirie has also seen a similar jump and is a cent or so cheaper. Here in Broken Hill, we're paying around $1.48. Adelaide has gone down by 5 cents to hover around $1.46. Turning over to diesel now, and it's been a quiet week despite the green and red arrows. Port Lincoln is paying the most in the Spencer Gulf at $1.50. Whyalla and Kadina not far behind at $1.49. Port Pirie and Port Augusta are also in the high 140s, while Broken Hill is forking out the most of anyone at $1.54. Adelaide is a cent up from its last week, now averaging $1.44. Finishing off with a look at Autogas, and there's been 2 big changes and nothing else. Whyalla is back to paying $1 a litre after seeing an 8-cent spike. Port Pirie has enjoyed a big drop in its price, now only paying 83 cents. Across the other towns, Port Lincoln is on 92 cents a litre, Port Augusta 89, the same as Kadina, and Broken Hill at 87. Adelaide rounds out the board seeing some red, but it's only a minor change. Now remember that these prices are the regional averages and they do not reflect any one particular outlet. And if you do find a spot that does sell unleaded, auto gas or diesel for cheaper, be sure to let us know on our Facebook page.
Now time to take a look at what's happening in the weather. Here's Britt.
Thanks, Louise. Well, we've seen a mostly fine day about the region with some showers over Adelaide. Starting at the top, Port Augusta and Whyalla both reached 19 degrees today. Port Lincoln, Broken Hill and Port Pirie all 17, Adelaide 16. Scattered low clouds sat over the region today as a high pressure system over the north of South Australia continued to move to the east. Moving into tomorrow now on the Gulf waters, we'll see northerly winds at 10 to 15 knots with seas around 1 metre. And the sun will rise just before 20 past 7. It'll be a mostly cloudy day about the region. Port Augusta, Whyalla and Moonee all expecting maximums of 20 degrees. Port Lincoln, Broken Hill, Port Pirie and Cleve all 18. Coffin Bay, Corn, Kadina and Adelaide 17. Clare with a top of 15. Looking further into the week now with showers expected over most parts on Friday and again on Sunday. Port Lincoln with the maximums hovering around the mid-teens. Cleve, showers and 14 on Friday ahead of a fine start to the weekend. Moonee expected tops of 17 Friday and Saturday. Whyalla and Port Augusta both with showers on Friday, maximums in the mid to late teens, then looking fine into the weekend. Kadina much the same, showers on Friday, fine Saturday and Sunday. Port Pirie showers and 16 Friday, fine and partly cloudy across the weekend. Clare expecting showers Friday and Sunday but remaining fine on Saturday. And finally to Broken Hill where the fine and partly cloudy conditions should continue throughout the remainder of the week. And Louise, that's all for the Wednesday weather.
Wonderful, thank you for that, Britt. And that's your local news this Wednesday evening. Thanks for joining us today. I'll have updates later, but until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.